Today I bring you a folk tale, Drinking Under the Bed. During the Song Dynasty, there was a place called Luzhen in the Zhengnian water town. There was a coquettish widow named Zhaoniang in town. She was 28 years old, and was as beautiful as a flower. Her eyebrows are like distant mountains and cold smoke, eyes like autumn waters, waist like willow swaying in the wind, and lips like cinnabar. Unfortunately, her husband died early. She lived in a deep courtyard house, leading a lonely and unbearable widow's life. Although Zhaoniang was young and widowed, she couldn't bear the loneliness of the boudoir. In her daily life, she always flirts with the town's playboys, flirting and messing around. Those rascals, seeing Zhaoniang so beautiful and charming, also had evil intentions, and wished to have a taste of her. However, although Zhaoniang is coquettish and liberated, was not a casual person. For those frivolous and coquettish sons of bitches, she just joked and dealt with them, and never let them succeed. One day, a carpenter named Li San came to her house to repair doors and windows. This Li San was big and strong, with a fierce face, and a famous lecher. When he saw Zhaoniang's beauty, his eyes were straight, and almost dropped the axe in his hand. Seeing Li San's appearance, she was secretly pleased, knowing that he was an easy target. So she said coquettishly to him, "Li Carpenter, how do you think of my doors and windows?" Li San looked at Zhaoniang in a trance, and even forgot to put down the axe in his hand. He said repeatedly, "Good, good, well done." Seeing Li San's obsessed look, she felt more confident. So she said in a coquettish voice, "Li Carpenter, you've worked hard. Why don't you stay and have a cup of tea?" Hearing this, which was exactly what he wanted, and quickly put down the axe, and followed the pretty woman into the room. The pretty lady brewed a pot of good tea, and handed it to Li San, and said in a coquettish voice, "Please drink tea," and drank it up. He felt a warm current from his throat to his heart, and felt warm all over. He looked at the charming face of the pretty girl. He felt itchy. He couldn't help but grab Zhaoniang's hand. He said, "Zhaoniang, you are a beauty. If I could kiss you, I would die happily." Seeing Li San so impatient, Zhaoniang, she smiled secretly, but pretended to be shy and said, "Carpenter Lion, don't do this. I am a person with dignity. How could I do such a scandalous thing? Do such a lewd and immoral thing in broad daylight?" Hearing this, Li San, thinking that the pretty lady was rejecting him, he felt a little disappointed. However, the pretty lady changed her tone. She said, "But if you really want to be close to me, there is a way." Li San heard that. His eyes lit up again. He hurriedly asked Zhaoniang, "What is your way?" The beauty leaned close to Li San's ear and whispered, "I have a secret room at home where no one goes on weekdays. You can wait for me there. At night, I will find you in my own way." Hearing this, was overjoyed. He hurriedly asked where the secret room was. Zhaoniang pointed to the bottom of the bed, saying, "It is under the bed. You can dig a hole to get in." Hearing this without hesitation, and immediately picked up an axe and dug under the bed. Seeing him so hard-working, she was secretly happy, knowing that he had taken the bait. In this way, Li San worked day and night. He dug a secret room under the bed. Although the secret room is not big, but it was enough for him and Zhaoniang to have sex. Whenever night fell, Zhaoniang would quietly slip into the secret room, enjoying themselves with Li San. However, the good times didn't last long. One night, Zhaoniang and Li San were having a great time in the secret room, but their screams were too loud, which alerted the neighbor next door. The neighbor was a nosy old lady. Hearing the sound, she knew there must be something fishy in Zhaoniang's house. She quietly came to Zhaoniang's window, and looked through the crack, and saw that it was dark inside, and saw nothing. The old lady was puzzled, and decided to come back the next day to find out. The next day, the old lady came to Zhaoniang's house early, pretending to visit. When Zhaoniang saw the old lady coming, she felt a little flustered, but she pretended to be calm, and warmly invited her in. The old lady looked around, and finally came to Zhaoniang's bedroom. She pretended to chat with Zhaoniang but kept glancing under the bed. Seeing the old lady's appearance, she became even more flustered, for fear that she would see through her. However, the old lady was a veteran. She immediately saw the anomaly under the bed. She pretended to leave, but while Zhaoniang wasn't paying attention, and suddenly lifted the bedboard, and saw a dark hole under the bed. The old lady couldn't help but feel a thrill of joy, knowing that this time she had caught Zhaoniang in a trap. When Zhaoru saw the old lady lift the bedboard, revealing the secret room. Knowing that she could no longer hide it, so she had to bite the bullet and said, "Don't misunderstand. This secret room is for me to hide things." Hearing this, the old lady, she sneered and said, "Hiding things? I think you are hiding someone. You quickly call out that wild man, and let me see who he is." Seeing that the old lady was not willing to let it go, so she had to bite the bullet and call Li San. When Li San heard that his secret was revealed, he was terrified, and quickly emerged from the secret room. When he saw the old lady, he knew things were not good. He wanted to escape, but was caught by the old lady. When the old lady saw that Li San was indeed a man, she couldn't help but fly into a rage. Pointing at Joru's nose, she scolded, "You shameless bitch, how dare you keep a wild man at home? I will tell the whole town about your scandal, and make you lose face." Hearing this, she was so scared that her face turned pale, and knelt down in front of the old lady begging for mercy. "Please don't tell anyone. I will never do it again." However, the old lady was a hard-hearted person. She would not let Zhao Niang go easily. She grabbed Zhao Niang and Li San, and dragged them to the street in town, and shouted loudly, "Everyone come and see. This shameless bitch keeps a wild man at home. Come and judge." When the townspeople heard this, all gathered around. Seeing the appearance of Zhao Niang and Li San, they knew that the old lady was telling the truth. Everyone pointed at Zhao Niang and talked about it. Zhao Niang felt like a rat crossing the street, and everyone shouted to beat her. She felt a sense of despair. Just then, the town security chief came. He saw the scene. He knew something serious had happened. He hurriedly asked the old lady what happened. The old lady told him everything in detail, and told the security chief. Hearing this, couldn't help but fly into a rage. He pointed at Zhao Niang and Li San's noses, and scolded, "You two shameless things. How dare you do such a scandalous thing? To do such a scandalous thing, I will send you to the government for punishment." When Zhao Niang heard this, she collapsed to the ground. She knew that once she was sent to the government, she would be doomed. She quickly crawled to the village chief, holding his leg and begging, "Sir, please don't send me to the government. I will never do it again." However, the village chief was an impartial person. He wouldn't let Zhao Niang go easily. He pulled Zhao Niang up, ordered his men to tie her and Li San up, and prepared to send them to the government. Seeing that begging was useless, she cried and shouted, "Li San, you heartless thing, you've ruined me." Hearing that, he couldn't help feeling guilty. He knew he was sorry for Zhao Niang, but he was powerless at the moment. He could only lower head and let his men tie him up. In this way, Zhao Niang and Li San were sent to the government by the village chief. After the government interrogated, they were found to have an affair. They were punished accordingly. Xiao Niang was imprisoned, and Li San was beaten with a board and exiled to the frontier. Xiao Niang spent a dark and hopeless time. She was filled with remorse, knowing that she had fallen into such a situation, that she ended up in such a situation. She thought of her youthful beauty and glory, and now she was in such a miserable situation, and couldn't help crying bitterly. However, regret was no longer helpful. Xiao Niang could only spend the rest of her life in prison, and accept legal and moral judgment, and her story became a laughing stock in the town, and was talked about by people. Although this folk tale is a bit absurd, it contains profound truths. It tells us that we should have a moral bottom line, and not to pursue momentary pleasure, and do something that is immoral. Otherwise, once the cat is out of the bag, you will be ruined. It is too late to regret. I hope Zhao Niang's story can serve as a wake-up call, and let everyone learn from it, and be a good citizen who obeys the law and has high morals. That is all for today's story. If you like it, please leave your comments in the comment section, like and follow me. Thank you very much.